Subject: ex-wife asked for temporary break, so I had her serve divorce papers at work. What's up, True Story? My name is Terrence, and I've been a long-time listener of your channel. I want to start off by saying thank you for what you do. Listening to these stories from other men has helped me keep my sanity through one of the most gut-wrenching periods of my life. I always thought I had a good head on my shoulders, that I was a good judge of character, but man, this situation humbled me in a way I never saw coming. I'm 38 years old. I work in IT, and I've always been the kind of guy who values stability, loyalty, and peace. I don't chase chaos, I don't do drama, and I sure as hell don't play games. But even men like me can get played if you trust the wrong person. That's exactly what happened. Let me take it back to how I met my ex-wife. We'll call her Bree. We met at a friend's birthday dinner. It was one of those sit-down dinners with a bunch of people you don't know, but you're forced to make conversation. Bree was sitting across from me. She was beautiful, funny, and she had this calm energy about her that pulled me in. She wasn't over the top, didn't seem like she was trying to impress anyone, and had a natural smile that made her look sincere. We ended up chatting the entire night. I got her number. We went out a few days later and things just took off. Within 6 months, we were talking about moving in together. A year after that, we were engaged. Looking back, maybe it was too fast, but everything felt right at the time. That's the thing about betrayal. It's always the ones you trust the most who hold the dagger. We were married for 6 years. For the most part, things were smooth. We didn't argue much, finances were decent, and our sex life was consistent. Or at least it was until year 5. I started to notice she was less affectionate. She'd go to bed early, spend more time on her phone, and give me those short, one-word answers when I asked about her day. I tried to chalk it up to stress from work. She worked in healthcare and had long shifts, but my gut was telling me something wasn't right. Then one night, she hit me with the infamous, "I think we need to take a temporary break." I just stared at her. A break? What does that even mean when you're married? I asked her, a break from what exactly? And she hit me with that classic line, "I just need time to figure out who I am. I feel like I'm losing myself." I told her no. Plain and simple. We're not dating. We're married. If there's a problem, we work through it together. If you want to leave, leave. But don't insult me by asking for a break like I'm some boyfriend you can put on pause. She got upset, real upset, accused me of not understanding her, said I was being controlling, said I was dismissing her feelings. I stayed calm. I told her she could have space, just not the kind of space where you go pretend you're single while I sit at home being faithful. I could feel the distance growing between us right then and there. That night, she went to bed in the guest room, and I couldn't sleep. Something in me, call it intuition, call it the voice of God, told me to check her laptop. She'd never hidden her passwords from me, and we often used each other's devices, so I didn't think twice about it. I opened it up, clicked on her browser, and saw Facebook was still logged in. I didn't go digging. The messages were right there, in her inbox. She'd been talking to her ex-boyfriend, some guy she dated in college, the same guy she once told me she hadn't spoken to in years. They weren't just catching up, they were planning a trip. A weekend getaway to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, dates, hotel options, laughing about old memories. She even sent him pictures of herself. I don't know if they'd slept together yet, but they were emotionally entangled. She was trying to test the waters with him while keeping me on standby in case it didn't work out. Right then and there, I knew what I had to do. She wanted space? I'd give her all the space in the world permanently. The next day, I started getting my ducks in a row. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I didn't even let her know I saw the messages. I just started moving in silence. I met with the lawyer 3 days later, told him everything. He said we were dealing with emotional infidelity, possibly more if I could get proof. I didn't even care about catching her in bed. I already had enough betrayal to end things. I got the paperwork going. In the meantime, I found myself an apartment about 20 minutes from where we were staying. The house we lived in was a rental, and the lease only had 5 months left, so I knew I could move without disrupting anything legal. I waited until all the documents were finalized and ready to be served. And then I pulled the trigger. I had her served at work. Yep, at work. That might sound cold to some people, but let me explain why I did it that way. She wanted to play games and sneak around like a teenager, so I made sure the end of our marriage was just as loud as the disrespect she handed me. The same woman who wanted a break to find herself got divorce papers during her lunch break. The moment she was served, my phone started blowing up. Back to back to back texts and calls. She was frantic. At first, she was mad. How could you do this to me? At work. Then came the begging. Please, let's talk. I wasn't thinking clearly. It was a mistake. I haven't even seen him in person. I was confused. She admitted everything, laid it all out in text. She thought maybe she still had feelings for her ex, thought exploring them might give her closure. She even said, I didn't think you'd actually leave me. That last line told me everything I needed to know. She didn't think I'd leave. She thought I'd stay, be loyal, be the backup plan. She wanted to ride the emotional roller coaster with someone else and have me waiting at the exit to drive her home. Nah, not me. I texted her back one sentence. I told you I don't do breaks. I blocked her after that. I moved all my stuff out the same day she got served. I didn't look back. My lawyer handled everything else. In court, she tried to play the sympathy card. Claimed we were just going through a rough patch, said she. Never meant for it to go this far. She had the nerve to cry in front of the judge like I'd blindsided her. But the messages didn't lie. We submitted everything, every screenshot, every Facebook message. It was crystal clear she'd already emotionally checked out of the marriage before she asked for that break. The divorce was granted. No alimony, no drawn-out battle. We didn't have kids, which I now see as a huge blessing. The lease was left in her name, and I guess she stayed until it ended. I haven't heard a word from her since. Now, man, life is peaceful. I come and go as I please. I eat what I want, sleep when I want, talk to who I want. I don't have to wonder who's in my wife's DMs. I don't have to decode weird behavior or fake like I'm okay with emotional distance. I'm free. And let me tell you, freedom feels better than love with the wrong person. I've been hitting the gym, working on myself, saving money, and traveling solo when I can. People keep asking if I'm going to date again. Maybe, maybe not. But one thing I do know, I'm never tolerating disrespect again. I gave my all to that marriage. I was faithful, honest, present, and dependable. And that still wasn't enough for her. That's not a reflection of me. That's a reflection of her. To any man listening, never let a woman hit you with that temporary break nonsense. That's code for, I want to see someone else but keep you as a backup. Don't be the backup. Be the man who walks away with his dignity intact. But, to pick up where I left off, after I blocked her number, I spent the next few days in my new apartment, sitting in silence. You'd think I'd be celebrating my freedom or feeling vindicated, but I'm going to be real with you, True. I felt like I'd just been hit by a train. It wasn't even about her. It was about the fact that the woman I married, the woman I shared my most intimate moments with, chose to lie to me and treat me like a safety net. There's a particular type of heartbreak that comes from realizing the person who once looked you in the eyes and said, I'll never hurt you, has done exactly that. And worse, they did it with planning and intention. That trip she was planning to Gatlinburg, I found out later through a mutual friend that it was something she and her ex used to talk about back in college. It was their little someday getaway. She was trying to recreate an old fantasy while throwing away the man who had stood by her through years of real life. You ever sit there and think back to all the things you ignored? Man, I did that. I replayed everything in my head. The late nights on her phone, the sudden bursts of defensiveness when I asked innocent questions, the girls' night outs where she'd get all dressed up but barely tell me where she was going. I didn't want to be a jealous husband, so I let things slide. I let her be free. I thought trust meant not asking too many questions. But real trust requires transparency, not blind faith. After the divorce, I went to therapy. Yeah, I said it. A lot of guys won't admit it, but I did. I found a black male therapist who understood where I was coming from. I told him everything, from how I met Bree to how I felt like a damn fool for not catching it sooner. He helped me understand something important. People can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. Bree had no business being married. She didn't even know who she was. She was constantly chasing old memories, trying to relive her past, and when reality didn't match the fantasy, she ran. That's not on me. The court hearing was 2 months after she was served. We didn't even make eye contact when we walked into the courtroom. She was there with her lawyer. I was with mine. The judge reviewed the evidence, messages, timeline, documentation. Her lawyer tried to argue emotional stress and mental confusion, but none of that changed the facts. The judge asked if reconciliation was possible, and I said clearly, "No, Your Honor, I no longer trust her." She started crying. I didn't. I felt numb. When the judge finalized the divorce and banged that gavel, I exhaled like I had been holding my breath for a year. I stood up, thanked my lawyer, and walked out without looking back. That moment was closure, not the fake kind you get through texts and promises, but the real kind, stamped and signed. Now it's been about 10 months since that day. My life has taken a full 180. I've poured myself into my health. I go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm down 20 pounds, up in muscle, and more mentally sharp than I've been in years. I cook my own meals. I wake up early. I meditate. I read more books than I've read since college. I started journaling to process my thoughts. You'd be surprised how many things come to the surface when you just let your thoughts breathe on paper. I also started traveling. I took my first solo trip to Arizona earlier this year. Drove through Sedona, hiked alone, watched the sunset from a mountaintop. It was one of the most peaceful experiences I've ever had. No one to answer to, no one to lie to me, just me, the road, and my peace. I've had women try to talk to me, sure. Some were legit, some were clearly rebound hunters. But I'm not in a rush. I'm not bitter. I just know what I deserve now. I'm not dating just to fill space. I'm building a life so full, anyone who enters it will have to bring something meaningful to match the peace I already have. Let me tell you something I've learned that I hope every man out there listening will hear. When a woman says she wants a break, she's already emotionally gone. You're just now catching up to where she's been mentally for weeks or months. Don't sit around hoping she comes back. Don't be the doormat. Don't be the good man she walks all over because she thinks you'll never leave. Be the man who sets the boundary and keeps it. A woman who respects you won't put you on pause to explore other options. Another thing, if something feels off, it probably is. We men have intuition too. We've just been trained to suppress it. I should have listened to my gut the first time she went cold. I should have investigated when she brushed me off, but I was too afraid of looking insecure. Now I know better. Now I trust myself more than I trust anyone's words. And to all the men out there who've been through it, don't let one betrayal turn you bitter, but let it turn you better. Let it wake you up. Let it sharpen your standards. Let it teach you what kind of peace you're capable of without someone else dragging you down. I also want to speak on the pride that comes from walking away with your head high. A lot of men are afraid to leave because They don't want to start over. They think divorce means failure. It doesn't. Staying in a fake marriage is the real failure. Letting yourself be disrespected and lied to while smiling through it is the real L. Leaving with your dignity, that's a win. That's you choosing yourself. And yeah, it hurt. I won't pretend I didn't cry those first few nights alone in that small apartment. I was grieving the death of a future I thought I had. But I'd rather grieve alone for a few nights than spend a lifetime being lied to. As for Bree, I have no clue what she's doing now, and honestly, I don't care. I hope she figured herself out. I hope her ex gave her the closure she needed. I hope she found peace, just not at the cost of mine. I'll end this long email with this. True, to any man who's married, dating, or even thinking about committing, pay attention. Love should never feel like confusion. It should never come with conditions like temporary breaks or I need space to figure out if I want you. You are not a placeholder. You are not a seat warmer. If she doesn't know your value, remove yourself before she devalues you. Being single is better than being second place in your own relationship. That's all from me, man. Feel free to read this on your channel. I hope it helps at least one man out there. Let him know that choosing peace over pain isn't weakness, it's power. Thanks for giving men a voice. We need it now more than ever. Stay solid. Subject. Quick update. Something I just found out about my ex-wife. Please add this to my first email. Hey, true story. It's Terrence again. Man, I literally just sent in my first email a few days ago, and wouldn't you know it, life came right back around with one more piece to this puzzle. I wasn't even planning to write a follow-up so soon, but I figured if you haven't read the first one yet on your channel, maybe you could tack this on at the end. Because what I'm about to share just confirms that I made the right decision walking away. No second thoughts. So here's what happened. A mutual friend of ours, let's call her Denise, texted me out of the blue. We hadn't spoken in months. She was more Bree's friend than mine, but we got along back when I was still married. She said she saw my ex recently and thought I should know what's going on. Apparently, not long after the divorce was finalized, Bree actually did meet up with that ex she was talking to on Facebook. The same one she was planning that Gatlinburg getaway with. They finally went on their little trip. I guess she figured, why not? Since she already blew up her marriage chasing that fantasy. Well, according to Denise, it went terribly. They lasted all of 2 months before he ghosted her, left her high and dry. She thought she was rekindling some old flame, but he treated her like a weekend fling. The guy never wanted a relationship. He was just entertaining the nostalgia. I guess he figured if she was willing to ditch her husband for him, she probably wasn't someone he could take seriously long term. Bree tried to keep it under wraps, but you know how things spread. Denise said she was embarrassed and told people it was a bad trip and that she needed time to heal afterward. I don't know what she expected. Loyalty from a man who dipped out on her once already. But here's the part that really got me. After the trip fell apart, Bree tried reaching out to another one of her exes. Not even kidding. She literally doubled down on this ex-boyfriend tour like she was auditioning men from her past to see who would take her back in. I'm not even mad. I'm just sitting here shaking my head like, wow, she really thought the grass was greener, and now she's barefoot in the mud. Denise told me Bree even mentioned she regrets how things ended with me. She said something like, I didn't think Terrence would actually go through with the divorce. I thought he'd fight for me. That's wild. After all the lies and the sneakiness, she still believed I'd be standing there like a fool, waiting for her to come back home. Let me be crystal clear. I don't care if she regrets it. I'm not flattered. I don't want her back. That woman had a front row seat to my loyalty, and she burned it for a glimpse at the past. She traded a solid future for a temporary thrill, and now she's out there trying to rewind life like this is a rom-com. Nah, this is real life. And in real life, actions have consequences. You know what this whole thing taught me, True? Some people don't realize how good they had it until they're sitting in a motel parking lot with a suitcase and a phone full of unread texts. They think love will wait for them while they explore possibilities, but by the time they come crawling back, the door is already closed and bolted shut. I sent this update not out of spite, but because I know a lot of men listening to your channel are in that confusing, maybe she'll change phase. They're clinging to hope. Let this be a reminder. You don't need to wait for her to regret it to know your worth. You don't need to see her fail in her rebound to justify leaving. Your peace is reason enough. I hope you can add this to the end of my first email if you ever read it on the channel. Consider it the epilogue, the part where the main character walks off into the sunset while the one who broke him fumbles in the dark. Thanks again for the platform, man. This update just gave me even more peace about where I'm at now. I dodged a bullet and apparently a whole mess of secondhand embarrassment. Take care.